the watcher in the fields. The morning mist clung to the pasture fence like gossamer threads as Jace Meridian adjusted his patrol rifle and checked his chronometer. Another routine sweep of the agricultural sector, the same endless circuit he'd walked for 3 months since arriving at Harmony Station, humanity's first successful interspecies colony. The work was monotonous, but someone had to ensure the livestock remained safe from the occasional curious alien visitor who might not understand Earth animals' unpredictable nature. That's when he first noticed her, a slight figure perched on the hillside overlooking the horse paddock, motionless as carved stone. Her pale blue skin marked her as Velinari, one of the few dozen refugees from the Andromeda sector who'd sought sanctuary here after their homeworld's destruction. Most of her people avoided the animal enclosures, entirely something about their telepathic sensitivity making Earth creatures' emotional resonance overwhelming. But this one was different. Jace paused in his patrol, studying her through his scope. She sat cross-legged in the tall grass, her elongated fingers clasped in her lap, silver hair catching the early sunlight. Her large, opalescent eyes never left the horses as they grazed peacefully below. There was something almost reverent in her posture, like a pilgrim witnessing a miracle. "You're early today," he called out, approaching cautiously. The Velinari were known for their skittish nature around humans. She turned slowly, those mesmerizing eyes focusing on him with surprising directness. "I am Zaralyn," she said, her voice carrying the musical quality common to her species. "I hope my presence does not disturb your duties." "Not at all." Jace settled onto a nearby boulder, keeping his weapon lowered. "I'm Jace. I've seen you here before. You really like watching them, don't you?" A faint smile crossed her features. "Like is ... insufficient. Your horses sing to me, though I do not understand their language. My people fled from creatures that brought only death and terror. These beings bring something else, something beautiful that I have never known." Jace nodded toward the paddock, where a magnificent white stallion stood apart from the herd, his coat gleaming like fresh snow. "That's Ghost. He's something special, even among horses. Rescued him from a breeding facility that was experimenting with genetic modifications before the Interspecies Accord banned such practices." Zaralyn's breath caught audibly. "Genetic modifications?" "Nothing harmful," Jace assured her quickly. "Just enhanced intelligence, longevity, disease resistance. Made him more valuable for breeding programs." He studied her reaction curiously. "Why? Does that concern you?" She was quiet for a long moment, her gaze returning to the white stallion. Perhaps it should concern us all." The approach 2 weeks passed before Jace worked up the courage to make his offer. He'd grown accustomed to Zaralyn's daily vigils, even bringing her water and field rations when she seemed particularly entranced by the horse's movements. She accepted his kindness with gentle gratitude, though she rarely spoke beyond simple pleasantries. "Would you like to meet him?" he asked one afternoon, nodding toward Ghost, who stood at the fence line as if sensing their attention. Zaralyn's eyes widened, their opalescent surface shimmering with what might have been tears. "Is such a thing possible? I thought your animals were forbidden to my kind." "The regulation is about safety, not prohibition," Jace explained. "With proper supervision, there's no reason you can't have a closer look." Ghost's gentle, never-shown aggression toward anyone, human or otherwise. She rose gracefully, her movements fluid and precise. I would be honored." They descended the hillside together, Jace noting how her breathing quickened as they approached the paddock. The other horses lifted their heads curiously, but Ghost remained focused on Zaralyn, his dark eyes tracking her approach with unusual intensity. "He's watching you," Jace observed. "That's not normal behavior for him. Usually takes him time to warm up to strangers." "Perhaps he recognizes something," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Jace unlatched the gate, stepping inside first. "Come on, then. Slowly." Ghost nickered softly, a sound Jace had rarely heard from the typically stoic Stallion. As Zaralyn crossed the threshold, the horse took a deliberate step forward, then another, until only a few feet separated them. "He's beautiful," she breathed, reaching out tentatively. "Go ahead," Jace encouraged. "He won't hurt you." Her fingers touched Ghost's muzzle, and the world exploded into chaos. Zaralyn's scream tore through the afternoon air as she collapsed to her knees, her body convulsing. Her eyes rolled back, showing only white, and a strange harmonious humming began emanating from her throat. Ghost reared back, then slowly, impossibly, lowered himself to the ground before her. "Zaralyn!" Jace lunged forward, but stopped short, as her voice rose in what sounded like song ancient, haunting, and utterly alien. The other horses had gathered in a circle around them, their heads bowed as if in worship. Something was happening here that defied all understanding, and Jace had the distinct feeling that everything he thought he knew about both species was about to change forever. The ancient memory, the song that poured from Zaralyn's lips, was unlike anything Jace had ever heard. Melody that seemed to bypass his ears and resonate directly in his bones. Her eyes had taken on a brilliant silver glow, and strange symbols appeared to flicker beneath her translucent skin like bioluminescent tattoos. Ghost remained prostrate before her, his massive head lowered in what could only be described as reverence. The other horses maintained their circle, creating a living amphitheater around the impossible scene. "Ashkate HFY Marthis," Zaralyn sang, her voice carrying harmonics that shouldn't have been possible from a single throat. "Nethera Solfin Vestrian ... The words meant nothing to Jace, but they filled him with an overwhelming sense of loss and longing. He activated his comm unit with trembling fingers. "Command, this is Patrol 7. I need immediate backup at the South Pasture. We have a ... situation." "Define situation, Patrol 7. Jace watched as Ghost's coat began to shimmer, as if starlight were trapped beneath his hair. "I honestly don't know how to classify this, Command. Possible first contact protocol violation, but not what we trained for." Within minutes, Dr. Kaelin Thorne arrived with a medical team, followed by Captain Vera Castellanos and her security. Detail. They stood at the paddock's edge, weapons lowered but ready, as Zaralyn's song continued to weave through the air like visible threads of sound. "How long has she been like this?" Dr. Thorne asked, his scanner already active. 23 minutes, Jace replied, never taking his eyes off the pair. "It started the moment she touched the horse." "Her neural activity is off the charts," Thorne reported. "But these readings, they're not consistent with seizure or psychotic break. It's more like she's accessing genetic memories." Captain Castellanos frowned. "Genetic memories? That's theoretical at best. For humans, maybe. But the Velinari have documented cases of ancestral memory inheritance. If she's experiencing something from her people's past..." Thorne's scanner beeped urgently. "Captain, you need to see this. The horse's DNA signature, it's not entirely terrestrial." The song reached a crescendo, and suddenly Ghost rose to his feet, his eyes now glowing with the same silver light as Zaralyn's. When he moved, Jace could swear he saw the faint outline of wings, translucent, ethereal, but unmistakably there. "Kaithison," Zaralyn whispered, her voice returning to normal as the glow faded from her eyes. She looked up at Ghost with tears streaming down her face. "You are the children of the Kaithison, the star riders who carried my ancestors across the void." She turned to the assembled humans, her expression filled with wonder and sorrow. "Your scientists did not merely enhance this creature's genetics. They awakened something that has slept for 1,000 years. He carries the bloodline of beings my people considered God's beings we thought extinct when our world died." Ghost lowered his head, nuzzling her shoulder gently. In that moment, Jace understood they were witnessing something far more significant than a simple interspecies contact. This was the resurrection of a lost mythology, the reunion of separated souls across the vast darkness of space. The revelation, the emergency council convened within hours, assembling in Harmony Station's main conference chamber. Zarelin sat at the center of the horseshoe-shaped table, flanked by Jace and Dr. Thorne, while Captain Castellanos paced behind them. The room buzzed with tension as representatives from both human and alien communities struggled to process what they'd witnessed. "Let me understand this correctly," said Administrator Marcus Webb, his weathered face creased with skepticism. "You're claiming that our horses, Earth horses, somehow contain alien DNA?" "Not alien to us," Zarelin corrected gently. "The Kai Thiessen were our companions for millennia. They were beings of pure energy who could take physical form when needed. When the devastation came to our world, we believed they had all returned to the stars to die." Dr. Thorne leaned forward, his tablet displaying complex genetic charts. "The genetic markers are unmistakable. Equine DNA from the modified breeding program shows insertions that match nothing in our terrestrial databases. The sequences are incredibly sophisticated, almost like they were designed to remain dormant until activated by specific triggers. Triggers like telepathic contact with a Velinari," Captain Castellanos added grimly. "This has security implications we can't ignore." "Security?" Zarelin's voice carried a note of hurt. "Captain, the Kai Thiessen were never weapons. They were teachers, healers, companions. They helped my people reach the stars, not through conquest, but through unity." Elder Morthik, the senior Velinari representative, spoke for the first time. Since the meeting began, his ancient voice carried the weight of centuries. "The young one speaks truth. The Kai Thiessen were the bridge between our physical forms and the infinite. Through them, we learned to hear the songs of distant worlds, to navigate the spaces between stars." Webb drummed his fingers on the table. "But how did their genetic material end up in Earth horses? The timeline doesn't work. Our species evolved independently, millions of years apart. Did they?" Zarelin asked quietly. "Administrator, what do you know of your world's mass extinction events? The ones that cleared the way for mammals to dominate?" The room fell silent. Jace felt a chill run down his spine as the implications became clear. "You're suggesting the Kai Thiessen were here before," he said slowly. "On Earth, long before humans existed." "The Kai Thiessen were explorers," Elder Morthik confirmed. "They seeded themselves across countless worlds, waiting for the right moment to emerge. When your scientists modified Ghost's genetics, they accidentally triggered an ancient protocol awakening signal that had been dormant for eons." Dr. Thorne's tablet chimed with an incoming message. His face went pale as he read it. "Captain, the genetic scans from the other horses are complete. They all show trace amounts of the same markers, but Ghost's concentration is nearly 1,000 times higher." "Which means?" Webb demanded. "Which means," Zarelin said, rising from her chair, "that Ghost isn't just carrying Kai Thiessen DNA. He's becoming one. The transformation has begun, and soon he'll remember everything, including why his people came to Earth in the first place." Through the conference room's windows, they could see the pasture where Ghost stood silhouetted against the setting sun. Even from this distance, the faint outline of wings was visible, growing more solid with each passing hour. The bridge between worlds, the transformation took 3 days to complete. Jace maintained a constant vigil at the paddock, watching as Ghost's physical form shifted and evolved. The stallion's coat now gleamed with an inner light, and his wings, no longer translucent, but fully manifest, stretched nearly 20 feet from tip to tip. Yet he remained earthbound, as if waiting for something. Zarelin had not left the pasture since the awakening. She slept in the grass nearby, her dreams filled with visions of her ancestors riding the star wines alongside beings of living light. The other horses had adapted to Ghost's transformation with remarkable calm, as if they too carried some dim memory of what he was becoming. "The genetic cascade is accelerating," Dr. Thorne reported during the morning briefing. "But it's not just affecting Ghost. We're detecting minor changes in the entire herd. Nothing dramatic, but their neural activity has increased significantly." Captain Castellanos nodded grimly. "And the Velinari settlement is reporting similar effects. Enhanced telepathic sensitivity, shared dreams, spontaneous memory recalls. Whatever's happening, it's not limited to one individual." "Because it was never meant to be," Zaralin said, approaching the group with Elder Morphic beside her. "The Kythison don't exist in isolation. They're part of a greater consciousness, a network that spans worlds and species." Jace looked up from his position by the fence. "You're talking about a hive mind?" "Not a hive mind," the Elder corrected. "A symphony. Each voice unique, but all contributing to a greater harmony. The Kythison served as conductors, helping individual species find their place in the cosmic song." A soft whinny drew their attention to Ghost, who stood at the fence line with his head raised toward the sky. His wings were fully extended, now catching the morning light like stained glass. "He's calling to them," Zaralin whispered. "The others who sleep in the stars. He's telling them that Earth is ready." "Ready for what?" Webb demanded. Ghost's response came not in words, but in images that flooded their minds, visions of a galaxy teeming with life, of worlds united not by conquest, but by understanding. They saw the Kythison as they truly were, not gods or monsters, but teachers who helped each species unlock their potential to join the greater community of consciousness. "He's showing us the future," Jace breathed. "What Earth could become, if we learn to hear the song." Zaralin placed her hand on Ghost's neck, and for a moment her eyes blazed with silver fire. "The Kythison ask nothing of us but openness. They've waited so long for a species capable of bridging the gap between worlds. Humans with their courage and curiosity, Velinari with their telepathic gifts together, we could be the voice that calls the scattered children home." Ghost's wings began to glow, and slowly, impossibly, he lifted from the ground. But instead of flying away, he hovered there, a living symbol of the connection between Earth and stars. "The choice is ours," Zaralin said, her voice carrying new harmonics that resonated in their bones. "We can remain isolated, suspicious, afraid. Or we can accept the gift the Kythison offer, the chance to become part of something greater than ourselves." As Ghost descended back to Earth, his wings folding gracefully against his sides, Jace understood that humanity had reached a crossroads. The age of isolation was ending. The age of the song was about to begin. And in the distance, carried on the wind, came the faint sound of other voices beginning to sing.